Dillon Gabriel just got the clearest, coldest possible piece of information. The Browns are starting Joe Flacco in week 1. That news changes the immediate trajectory for Gabriel, not catastrophically, but materially. He's no longer in the short-term compete for the job this month conversation. Instead, he's shifted into the develop, wait for a window, and prove you're the best option when that window opens category. Here's what that realistically means for Gabriel, the Browns, and how he should approach the next few weeks to keep his upside intact. First, the organizational reality. Cleveland invested more draft capital and roster movement in the quarterback room than most teams do in one offseason. A veteran starter, Flacco, a traded veteran, Pickett, a day 3 pick, Gabriel, and a high-profile late-round rookie, Shedeur Sanders, is a crowded, heavy roster. Naming Flacco Week 1 is conservative and expected. It buys the Browns a steady hand for a challenging early schedule and gives young QBs time to assimilate without being rushed into starts that could harm development or team performance. For Gabriel, who was a third-round pick and therefore carries a higher draft pedigree and expectation than Sanders, this decision is a setback in the sense that it reduces his immediate chances of starting, but it also protects him from the risk of a premature baptism by fire. Second, what the tape and traits suggest about Gabriel's immediate work priorities. His preseason outing against the Eagles had wobbles early, a couple sacks and interception, but he settled in and produced a solid second-half rhythm, 13 of 18 for 143 yards. That pattern highlights two things coaches care about: pocket awareness against pressure and consistent processing against NFL coverages. Gabriel's arm and timing are legitimate. He can make the throws Cleveland will ask him to make, so the immediate areas to sharpen are mechanics under duress, quickened footwork, a tighter release to limit the impact of rushes and strip sacks, decision tempo, get the ball out sooner on crossing routes, and short to intermediate progressions to avoid negative plays. Recognition of coverage disguises show clearer adjustments pre-snap and quicker progression reads once defenders rotate. Ball security and pocket presence. Reduce holding on broken plays, slide, throw the ball away, or get out of bounds rather than stretching for marginal gains. Those improvements are the difference between a rookie who looks serviceable in mop-up duty and a rookie you trust to lead a 4-quarter game against NFL starters. Third, the pathway back to relevance. Gabriel's best route to early season snaps is one of 3 scenarios. 1, injury to a QB ahead of him. 2, poor performance by Flacco or Pickett that forces a look. Or 3, an overwhelming finish to the preseason and regular season practice reports that compel coaches to accelerate his timeline. Since injuries and performance slumps are largely out of Gabriel's control, his lever is the third. Dominate practice reps, show consistent growth on the scout team and in meetings, and make every available preseason or limited regular season appearance look flawless. Coaches prize reliability. If Gabriel becomes the "we can plug him in and not lose much" option, his path forward brightens quickly. Fourth, roster economics and competition. Because Gabriel is a third-round pick, the Browns have more invested in him than they do in Sanders. That affords him some margin for error. Teams typically give higher picks more runway, but it's not infinite. If the Browns decide to carry 4 quarterbacks early, Gabriel is more likely than Sanders to occupy a higher spot. If they decide to keep 3, Gabriel's draft status and upside should protect him from release unless he completely falters in practice. For trade market value, a clean showing in preseason or a strong week of starting-ready drills would keep Gabriel audible to other teams if Cleveland ever entertains external offers, something to watch at the trade deadline. Fifth, the psychological and developmental playbook. Gabriel must approach the next month like a pro prospect, control the controllables. That means immaculate preparation, command the playbook, anticipate changes, laser focus in meeting rooms and walkthroughs, and veteran comportment. Listen to Flacco, ask for mentorship, and show leadership without forcing attention. Coaches respond to players who accept coaching and improve visibly. Demonstrating that temperament can make Gabriel a frequent name in internal conversations should Flacco stumble. Finally, long-term upside. The Browns' decision to start Flacco does not erase Gabriel's upside. He still has the arm strength, timing, and college tape that warranted a third-round selection. The NFL is full of quarterbacks whose starts came months, sometimes seasons, after draft day. What matters now is trajectory. A steady, demonstrable upward tick in accuracy, pocket play, and decision-making will keep Gabriel on track. If he nails those boxes and a mid-season opening appears, he could be the player who turns an insurance role into a genuine starter opportunity. Bottom line, this is a setback, not a dead end. Cleveland's Week 1 decision buys the team stability and buys Gabriel time, but it also shortens the runway he once imagined. How he uses that time will define whether he's remembered as the rookie who quietly earned a starting chance later in the year or the one who faded into a crowded depth chart. The blueprint is simple: rehab his weaknesses quickly, maximize every rep, game, and practice, lean on veteran leadership, and keep the tape clean. If Gabriel does that, Week 1's bad news will look a lot less consequential by November. Naming Joe Flacco the Week 1 starter doesn't end Dillon Gabriel's NFL story, but it does narrow and clarify his path. Here's what that decision practically means for Gabriel, how it shapes his short-term timeline, and the smartest ways he can respond. Immediate reality, depth chart position, and timeline. Flacco's selection signals the Browns want steadiness and a known quantity to open the season. That's predictable. Flacco brings experience, familiarity with Stefanski's style, and the lowest short-term risk. For Gabriel, that likely means he begins the season as QB2 if the Browns carry 3, or QB3 if they keep 4, and his first realistic shot at meaningful snaps will be in mop-up, blowouts, or if injury/performance force a change. Expect limited game reps early, so preseason tape and practice performance will carry more weight than in-season spot appearances until something forces a larger role. Evaluation lens, what coaches will be watching. Coaches evaluate rookies on 3 things beyond raw arm talent: consistent decision-making under pressure, command of the playbook, and ball security. Gabriel's outing versus Philadelphia showed flashes, accurate timing, pocket presence at times, but also costly mistakes, pick 6, fumble. Those specific mistakes are more damaging in short sample sizes because they highlight the protect the football question. The staff will want to see those errors cleaned up in practice installs, scout team reps, and in any remaining preseason action. Development plan that makes sense for Gabriel. 1. Simplify and repeat. Master the rookie progression reads and cadence so processing becomes automatic. 2. Ball security drills. Limit turnovers in team periods and live reps. Coaches notice reductions in turnovers faster than they notice single big plays. 3. Timing with weapons. Build chemistry with key receivers and tight ends in walkthroughs and scripted sessions. Timing throws win backup jobs. 4. Film discipline. Study Flacco and the starter's decision-making in 2-minute and red zone reps to internalize situational expectations. 5. Mental resilience. Show consistent ownership after mistakes and respond immediately in practice with better reps. Roster mechanics and career contingencies. If Gabriel can't separate himself by roster cutdown, he's likely to make the 53 if the Browns value his draft capital and upside, but he could also be used as trade bait or placed on the practice squad with an eye toward development. Other teams will watch his tape. Steady, mistake-free practice tape raises his trade value and future starting chances elsewhere. Bottom line, this is a short-term setback from a visibility and immediate start perspective, not a knockout. Gabriel's ceiling remains intact, but the onus is now on him to convert every limited rep into proof of growth. Clean practices, fewer turnovers, sharper reads, and clear leadership in the meeting room are the path back to a real shot, either in Cleveland if things go sideways for Flacco, or in another opportunity that values a polished, mistake-averse young passer.